Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast. Lance Armstrong here, sitting with JB Hager and Mr. Sensitive, George Hincapie. We are talking about Stage 11. Cue our old friend Alain.
Stage 11. Château-Layon-Plage to Poitiers.
Château-Layon-Plage to Poitiers. I'm getting better at my French pronunciation.
It's coming along. It's about time.
Yeah. Hey, today's show presented to you like it is every day by OURA Ring. Head on over to auraring.com. Guys and gals, get yourself one. I actually got a message in the middle of the tour from Mark Gainey, the founder of Strava, who was actually sending me his sleep data and his readiness score. And that's what it's all about, right? So, tracking your activity, tracking your sleep, obviously, all the different data points that come with that, movement, sleep stages, body temp, respiratory rate, so much cool data coming out of this. Gainey was pretty proud of his sleep last night, right?
I was going to ask you, what is a good respiratory rate? I've heard you guys talking about it.
We can look it up. Mine's significantly higher than George's.
Lower.
Better. I just meant better. Better, higher is better is whatever. But no, this OURA's just crushing it. We backed this company a long time ago and continue to be super proud of their progress. Just obviously rolling out the partnership with the NBA and the WNBA. Also just announced a partnership with NASCAR. So just very, very accurate when it comes to body temp, core temp, and sort of not necessarily predicting the onset of COVID, but any illness, right? I mean, that's a key factor. Also, today's show is brought to you by PowerDot. Here's our flow code for OURA. Awesome. Today's show also brought to you by PowerDot. Love this company. They've just continued to evolve. They're just on the verge of launching their new medical platform that is super cool. More about that later on. The thing about PowerDot is it's something I use on a daily basis, and it just everybody knows I got the neck, and everybody's making fun of me, and but it's true, and it's helping, right? So if it's a nagging injury, if it's recovery, whatever it is in your daily life, and by the way, I mean, this is smaller than George's saddlebag on his bike. I mean, you ought to see this guy's saddlebag. It's embarrassing. It looks like a Fred just riding down the. Honestly, JB, no, I can hardly get behind.
It's better than that fanny pack you've been rolling around with all month.
Like I said, I mean, see what I deal with every day. One of these days, I'm going to do a podcast with my friends that say nice things about me. But back to PowerDot. Look, guys and gals, if you don't love it, send it back. 30-day money-back guarantee. Bunch of guys in the tour are using it as the NFL rolls out tomorrow night. How about that? Bunch of teams in the National Football League using it, also in MLB. Head on over to powerdot.com/TheMove. 20% off with the buy code TheMove. Get serious about your recovery. Last one here for a sec. And George, we talk a lot about ketones, right? And it was a bigger conversation last year. It is a reality, right? Ketones are definitely being used in the tour, which I don't have a problem with. There are people that like to question that, but it's a legitimate fuel source. Our friends over at THEFEED have. Did you know this? You didn't know this, right?
I did not.
So they've got they sell more ketones than anybody in the world. They supply all the teams in the tour over there at TheFeed.com. This is another business I just don't know how I missed, but I did. And so what you don't know, though, George, is I've got the new one. I've got the KE1. I think they only sent you KE4.
I got the KE4.
Yeah, so I've got the new one that tastes. Just try sipping on this thing for a second.
Chug it or sip it?
With knowing you should probably sip it, but
okay.
Just whatever works for you.
Well,
I just want to read you something real quick though on the side here, and this before you do anything, I want you to listen to me. It says take on an empty stomach one bottle. It says sensitive people take half. So it's probably best that you take half.
So I'm going to sip it.
Huh?
Oh, my goodness.
So mine's the new. So the KE1 is the new, what?
It's
was that nail polish remover?
Kind of, sort of. Oof.
But they reworked the flavor.
Oh, it's totally different. I mean, this is the peach flavor. It actually tastes like peach.
So
here,
wait
you
a
know
second.
what?
Why did you make me try the bad tasting one?
You can have one of my. You can have. I'll give you my other bottle of KE1.
I'm going to try this one.
Try it and compare it right now.
Because that was harsh.
Battery
tasting,
acid.
to say the least.
Okay. By the way, they really got the price down. The price is $8 per bottle.
Oh, that's much better.
That's much better.
So are we going to get this really high performance podcast today?
So we are going. I'm about to fucking light this show up.
Let's go.
And what I'm going to do after this, I've never swam with the Masters team here in Aspen. I'm going to head on over and try out the Masters Swim Club here. Anyways,
this whole neck thing's been a real downer for me, by the way. I'm riding by myself every day. Don't know where to go. Now there's snow all over the place.
Snow everywhere.
Oh.
I mean, it's crazy.
So back to the feed right quick. So guys and gals, check out the ketones. I'm a big believer in this, and people ask me all the time, like, what has been one of the biggest innovations in nutrition? Ketones. You have to point to that. I mean, it's nothing else has come in and moved the meter like ketones. Head on over to thefeed.com/TheMOVE, and for the first 200 listeners that place an order at the feed. First 200, that's a lot of people. First 200 people that place an order at the feed, free bottle of ketones. Just try it out. And hopefully you don't get George's old one and you get LA's new one.
The best part about this whole deal is now I have 3 ketones and he's got 1. So good luck on the next ride.
Guess what? And guess what? And all my friends over at the feed actually like me more than you. So I can have as many bottles of KE1 as I want. So there. Hey, today's stage 11, not without, these days are funny, man. They're just, they're boring. And so but that's not, I'm not being critical. They're just, the tour has to have those, but you always you're always thinking something is going to happen. And today didn't disappoint. We saw this sprint. We saw what is now going to become another Peter Sagan controversy. I really want to talk. I want to spend time talking about the move that he made up the right side. The organization, or rather the commissars, the UCI commissars, relegated him. So he lost, I think, 30 points in the green jersey competition, which will then spur this whole other conversation about whether or not he stays in the tour. I don't know. I'll just cut to the chase. 2 things. One, if that's any other bike rider than Wout van Aert, that could have ended a whole nother way.
Oh, for sure.
But these guys are freaks, man. They can handle their bikes. They can rub and grind and move each other around at high speeds. I don't agree with the relegation. I don't know about you, Georgie.
We're going straight to that right now. We're not going to talk about how we got there.
I think it's the big story of the day.
It's the big story of the day. It is.
I mean, look, it's a tough call, no doubt.
Would you like to talk about the boring stage first?
We can talk about the boring. I think actually a day like today is super welcome amongst the peloton. You don't get those are super rare days. You got a slight headwind, not very technical in the beginning. One guy gets away, which indicates that it was basically you can go have your day in the front, and we're going to keep you under 5 minutes, control the race. So we've saw, which in my opinion is very significant. Jumbo-Visma has had two days off. Basically, they haven't had to do any work except at the final, of course. But that's a big deal for what we have to come in the next week or so. So yeah, when a stage like that goes relatively easy, the finals are going to be very hectic. And we saw a super exciting finish with 4 across. When was the last time we saw 4 across and basically photo finish of 4 riders?
I don't know. I cannot think of the last time. That was a drag race.
So it was hugely exciting finish. Sagan is coming back. Like I said, I feel like he's a racer. He needs to have racing behind him. Here we are at stage 11. You see him. He could have won the stage, no doubt. He was coming really quickly on the inside, and of course, he did a super aggressive move. Tough call. He didn't take his hands off the bars, which you're clearly not allowed to. You are allowed to bump with your shoulder. You aren't allowed to change your line in a sprint. So it's a very difficult call. I don't know which way I'm leaning, but I did.
It is. Listen, George, you know what? I've known you a long time, okay? And this political bullshit you play all the time. Jim, just
a safe answer, like a politician. Take a hard line.
Does he deserve to be relegated?
It was very dangerous, and what we've seen lately, I believe so. Just because, the races are dangerous enough. Something like that, like you said, if it was anybody but Wout van Aert, he would have gone down. I've been personally part of that bumping from Sagan toward California, and I busted my ass hard. So that's no fun, and it's dangerous. But I do want to read our good friend of mine, which we all know is Robbie McEwen, one of the best sprinters of all time. I asked him his opinion, and he made a good point. He said in the 80s, no problem. The 90s, you'd get a warning. 2000, it's 50-50 depending on the jury president. Nowadays, and particularly after Jacobson's crash in Poland, always going to be a DQ. There was too much push, and the impact of Wout van Aert was too much to get away with. So it's interesting to see what he thinks about it.
I see that.
I was also reminded of the Fabio Jacobson crash, who was in Sagan's position. So here you have a rider who's trying to ensure that they don't get thrown over a barrier. It's very much a defensive move too.
Well, he was playing offense there. He was trying to get through a very short window. But I mean, you got to hand it to Sagan. The guy's been racing for over 10 years now. He still has that killer instinct to go through little holes like that. I mean, trust me, that is about as scary as it gets in cycling, and you got to have some big balls to be able to do that.
Wow, big ball. Okay,
big
now
balls.
See, he just dropped. He's off of this Mr. Political stuff. Now he's talking about people's balls.
Well, I've got to imagine. I'll add to that. If you're a sprinter and willing to push and throw shoulders, you're going to win more than you're going to be relegated.
No, you can't hit the brakes. These guys don't hit the brakes.
You can't hit the brakes, and you got to be able to go through holes that most people would not even consider going through. I mean, that hole was closing, and he was going to take that hole no matter what. And he would have won had that hole not been closing.
And think back, less than a week ago. This is a game of inches, right? He made the very same move that Caleb Ewan made the other day, but Caleb Ewan just had an inch on either side, right? He didn't need to lean on anybody. He didn't need to be rubbing up against the barriers. And it's just a game of inches. And so, but here's what the UCI said. So they reference the rules in section 5.1. Deviation from the chosen line that obstructs or endangers another rider, or irregular sprinting, which could include pulling the jersey or the saddle of another rider, intimidation or threat, blow from the head, knee, elbow, shoulder, or hand, will be punished by 500 Swiss francs, who gives a fuck, a points deduction equal to 25% of the points gained by the stage winner, and relegation to last place in the riders group. And then here's, for those watching the show, this is what we're talking about. I mean, right at this point, it's anybody's sprint, right? And then just, I always see the green jersey and think it's Sagan. But here, look, he has to pause, and here we go. I mean, he is coming with the heat of 1,000 suns, by the way. Look how fast he's going.
Yeah.
And again, he just doesn't have, look, ooh. I would have been,
mind you,
I would have been flying into next week if somebody did that to me. I'd be so scared.
Mind you, he did not have the option to go left. His only option was to go right. If you watch the sprint again, he was blocked by 2 or 3 riders. So really, that was his only option, was to go that way. And like I said, he's coming. He's getting fitter and fitter by the day. Yeah. And hopefully, he does not go home to do the Giro, like some people are saying.
Well, the question is, if he's out of the green jersey competition, that's really what he came here to do. And he's got to go do the Giro because he has a big contract with them. Does he head home? Oof.
I don't know. Wout came over for that 1 second.
He just moved over. And again, like I say, it's just a game of inches.
Look, I'd be surprised. I know we just heard this information from Johan. Apparently, Sagan never had the Tour de France in his mind. He always had the Giro, had a deal with the Giro to race the Giro with under current circumstances. I think he just decided to do the Tour in case the races got canceled later on in the year. But you can see his fitness is coming. Tomorrow is a big day for him to get points back. I'd be surprised if he goes home.
We mentioned a Sagan stat that Johan had brought up earlier, that he's had 123 or something like that days in green just in the Tour de France. And another interesting stat, give or take today's results, 23 second place finishes in the Tour.
Of course. I mean, if you're going to win as many as he has won, you're going to get second and third sometimes, right? That's just that's not surprising. The thing that was surprising, and I don't remember the exact number, but the amount of days it's been since he won a race, it's high. It's a lot higher, and I realize it's been a minute, but it was a lot more than I thought. I mean, for a guy who's still that damn good.
Yeah, like we said earlier, I mean, you just see him today with that killer instinct, going through that whole win at all costs mentality. I mean, he still has the mentality. The wins haven't been coming as much as they have in the past, but like I said, it looks like he's getting fitter and fitter by the day, and I'm pretty sure if he stays in the Tour, we'll see him win a stage.
Do you think? I feel like he might have known that I picked him to win. That made just a little extra motivation for
it got back to him.
I think it got back to him. I'm hoping.
While we're talking about the sprint, let me ask you guys this, because if you just talk about that bump and had it taken Wout van Aert out, look at Jumbo-Visma. Are they taking some unnecessary risks with Van Aert trying to get wins? If Roglic loses him up there rubbing elbows sprinting, that's a big loss.
That's a huge loss. Yeah.
Well, not to mention the fact that Wout with Van Aert was also impacted. I mean, you look back at what Robbie said. I mean, perhaps he could have. He lost a little bit of momentum which in a sprint we all know just a millimeter can make all the difference in the world. So that little bump could have caused him from, keeping that momentum, that speed going, and perhaps he had a big shot of winning as well.
Or to JB's point, it could have caused him to crash.
Not only that, but if you watch the sprint way before the actual sprint started with 300 meters, 400 meters to go, Wout van Aert is completely on his own in the wind and is kind of biding his time in the wind and then starts to sprint. So the guy's just got so much power. Yes, it is risky that he's there, but you got to keep a guy like that motivated. You got to give him his free card to go for these sprints. He's proven that he can win these sprints. It's not like a dude that's going for top 10 and gets, top 10 once in a while, but this guy can clearly win, and I think it's a good decision from the team that on a day like today in a headwind where there isn't much danger going on, that at the end of the race, once he knows his leader's clear, he can go for the stage win.
Well, but I do, JB, you got a point. I mean, he is going to be, because if you look, and we always kind of look to the day ahead, but if you just peaked at the second half of the Tour, it is going to get very hard and very exciting. And he's a key man for the whole team, for Roglic, for all of them.
I would think if I was Roglic, I'd be going, maybe let's tone it down a little bit and protect.
Well, I can tell you what I would be saying. Yeah. If this sensitive one over
well,
here.
You guys wouldn't let me go for the sprints anyway.
And the guy 3,000 miles away listening right now, who's going to have his show right after ours, I know what he'd be saying. Mm-hmm. You get your ass. Are
you saying that because of spending energy or because of danger or
both? Both. He's too valuable. He's I'm not trying to be critical, because I do think the guy is a magician on a bike, and he can, we'd have to ask him, like, did that freak you out? Like, I would be so scared. I'd be in a psych ward right now if somebody hit me like that in a high speed sprint. But yeah, he's going to be a key player in the last half.
Agreed. He's definitely valuable. But you saw, like, on a day like yesterday, where he was really needed in the crosswind section, he didn't sprint. He was there keeping his guy out of trouble. Like I said, today was less technical. He was able to have a free card there at the end. So, perhaps he starts saving up energy once we get closer to the Alp stages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, uphill beforehand, so it thinned it out a little. As we did watch this somewhat uneventful day, there was a couple things that I noticed. One, obviously, had the Bora rider that they spent way too much time talking about. Apparently, he ate too much steak and pasta last night, so he was bloated.
I'd never heard about that before.
Yeah, so we've dubbed that the Bora. He's on Bora Hansgrohe, so the Bora bloat. I don't know, maybe Brian Holm could have a conversation with their hipster chef with sailor tattoos and ask what happened. I mean, but he's out of the race.
Brian Holm is on a quick step.
I was just trying to use the line hipster chef with sailor tattoos. That's just too good.
Yeah,
you got to use that over and over.
That was Moberger. Who
and
pulled
then
out today.
they spent a lot of time during the coverage we were watching talking about rider safety, selection of courses, the input that the peloton has on these decisions and selection of courses. And the solution was, well, they would like to have a seat at the table and be a part of the conversation. I don't know. I might have heard that a few times, and I think that's a great idea. Have you guys ever heard anybody say that before?
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, we've heard you say it for many years now.
But here's the thing, and it seems like it just keeps coming back to road furniture, right? To traffic control solutions that local or federal agencies put in place. That ain't going away. Like they're going to continue to build these things: traffic islands, pylons, planters, roundabouts. I mean, you just can't. That's the reality of traffic control in 2020 and going forward. It's just not going. That's not going to change. And so the sport it's not like you're going to go find some roads that don't have traffic islands.
Well, it's also a lot more interesting to go through these small villages as opposed to being on big, broad highways all day.
I threw out an idea to George today, which I was actually surprised that you were receptive of.
Which was?
Look, if you're not going to, because you're not going to get rid of the road furniture, right? That's going to be there, fact. So what is causing accidents? Or it's the, I mean, these guys are going so fast. I said it the other day.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Everybody's fit. Everybody's riding fast bikes and super fast wheels and skin suits. It's just, you're gonna go faster, right? So if you can't get rid of the road furniture, and yet now you got guys with disc brakes so they can stop a lot better, how are you going to slow this down, right? If you lower the speed, and I don't want to be one of these weenies that talks about, it's too fast or too strong, that's going to happen, right? The only way to slow it down is, and this sounds kind of lame, but if you made everybody ride old school wheels, almost like a NASCAR, like a restrictor plate race, where you guys say, guys, you got to go back to triple cross spoked wheels, that'd slow it down. That's probably a dumb idea to a lot of y'all, but I don't know. You're not going to get rid of the road stuff.
Well, one thing we do know is that they may not have input on the course safety beforehand, but they definitely have enough staff where they can send a car. They do. The best teams send a car up the road and know exactly what's coming in the last 25, 30 kilometers. They know the wind direction. They know the road furniture. They point it out. So the best teams, the sprinter teams, for sure have all that information. I'm sure Ineos has that information. I'm sure Jumbo has that information, where you're doing the research. You're using all of your staff to the best you can. And you're getting all the information. You're knowing which danger is coming at what point.
Mm-hmm. You noticed a cool thing too, JB.
Well, one thing, is we were watching this morning, and I hadn't seen it before. Is a domestique was going back to the car. You usually see them stuffing water bottles in their jerseys, and it was like a backpack, a really thin backpack that he threw on that was loaded down. I think it was the Astana team, pedaled up into it, and then everybody was just reaching into that backpack and pulling everything out. And then he folded it up and put it in his jersey.
That's some BS. Back in the day, I used to carry like 12 bottles in the back of my jersey, all over the place in my stomach. And I don't know if I see the need for the backpack, although maybe it's safer for the guys to grab it. But
just stick.
I never had that.
George, just stick with this is bullshit. It sounded great up until that point. Then try to make get your friends back. I mean, you ask a guy. If we were to ask Ekimov about, hey, Eki, you need a backpack to carry these bottles up?
He'd laugh at you.
You're fucking crazy. Yeah, no, that would not.
Yeah.
Not that I ever carried any bottles, so I would probably not the person to ask.
It definitely appeared like a safer way to do it. Mainly people pulling the bottles out. They were just reaching in. It seemed more civil.
Well, Mr. Sensitive here says it's bullshit, so let's stick with that. To all you young kids out there, no water bottle backpacks if you're working for the team.
We need to know what happened with the Mulberger also. I mean, unfortunately, you spoke about it, where they focused on him a bunch. The poor guy couldn't even get out of his own way today. One of the second best guy on GC on the team, and hopefully it's not an illness.
Well, that has the tail on that is complicated in this, and certainly amidst this pandemic. It wouldn't take much, man. You get one or two guys, it could spread like wildfire, which, let's not even talk about it. That would suck for everybody involved, right? Should we spend a little time talking about tomorrow? Tomorrow's the longest stage of this tour, 218K. Before we get to that, today's show also brought to you by Thrive Market. This is really our go-to, and when I say our, not like I shop. Anna, who is a complete foodie and just a complete she's just militant about what she puts in her mouth and what she feeds me. Well, maybe not so much me, but what she feeds the kids.
She's a label reader.
She's a label reader, and she cares about, she just believes that you can't be feeding your kids all this crap that we grew up eating, right? And so now we have options. Thrive Market is really a great one for us as an option, especially if you live in some remote place. The highest quality, healthy and sustainable products, healthy without the hassle. It's good for you and the planet. Orders $49 or more are shipped for free, and they're delivered with carbon neutral shipping from our zero waste warehouses. That's kind of awesome. And they're ethically sourced, right? And the other cool thing is we're big consumers of Thrive. During the pandemic, when you went down to the grocery store and there was nothing on the shelves, like Thrive was stocked. They were ready. So head on over to thrivemarket.com. Here's our flow code as well. thrivemarket.com/TheMove. Free gift on your first purchase. $22 in value. That was my favorite number growing up, by the way. thrivemarket.com/TheMove. Last one of the day, and this is a brand I've just been digging on. Actually, I woke up this morning and I just felt a little dehydrated, which is funny because I haven't been exercising because I have a bad neck. But I was like, I got to get on top of my hydration. And we can test these things, or you can go to the bathroom and see your hydration level. You can just feel. I'm at this point in my life, I can feel it. I can feel when I'm behind on hydration. It would be one thing to go slam a bunch of water. Folks, that's not going to do it for you, right? You have to have some other solution there. LMNT is the one that I've just been using religiously for the last year. Partnerships with the Navy SEALs, USA Weightlifting, 1,000 milligrams of sodium. So it is salty, right? And George, and I'll just be fully transparent here. I like to cut mine down. If I go for a ride with 2 bottles, I split it up. 1 pack, half and half in each bottle. It's perfect. So I get 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 grams of magnesium, no color, no funky sugars, colors, artificial ingredients. And if you don't like it, money back guarantee. And they say, by the way, if you don't like it, we'll give you your money back, and you can keep it so you can give it to one of your salty friends, which isn't George because he's too nice. Head on over to drinklmnt.com/TheMove. So we about to get busy in this tour. Like if you just looked at, in the tour book here actually has these really condensed stages. And so you can see over the last 8 or 9 days, it's just never flat. I mean, we have a little bit of flat tomorrow, but after that, folks, is on.
It's on. Tomorrow
is on.
Tomorrow, the longest stage of the Tour de France. Now we're getting 12 days into the race. Got a bunch of tired legs out there. We're all predicting a breakaway is definitely going to go. Unless Sagan with his new refound form can definitely make it over that Category 3 and Category 2 climb, and also get a bunch of points back on the green jersey, which most likely Bennett will not be able to make it over those climbs.
And not just newfound form, but if I'm him, I am some kind of pissed off. And if he does stay, he's not going to just stay just to be pack fill and train for the Giro. He's got to come with the heat of 1,000 suns. So they might control the race, although they did lose a man today. It's going to make that a little harder. It'll be it's funny too because it's 218 kilometers. So for you folks in miles, that's call that 135 miles. That would be. Remember back in our day, we were not. I'm not trying to be like that guy, but they've made the stages shorter and shorter. 218 would have been a medium day. We're doing these bullshit days, 240, 250. Ugh.
Yeah, there's no use for that. I mean, that doesn't make sense. But tomorrow is definitely a much harder day. We could also see some collaborations amongst the really strong sprinter teams that have climbers, like CCC, for instance, with Greg Van Avermaet and Trent.
Are they still in the race?
They're still in the race. So we could see teams like that and Bora collaborate to keep it together for the final, which is a super hard final, and those guys can clearly make it over and be, without the best sprinters in the world or the fastest guys, be the fastest guys in that circumstance.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be fun. What else you got on your docket there, JB?
I got some comments. Let's see, Jamie, I'll skip your question. It was about Wout van Aert. They said Lance would not be having that.
No, because Lance would be on the ground. Hey, we did forget. We had a slide. The Joe Natale has inspired just an army of people to make up all these renderings and sketches and whatever you call when you put somebody's face on somebody else's picture. And we got to look at this. George has more connections.
I gotta get it.
George has more connections than an electrician. I mean, and it's true. So these things, it's everybody loves George. I know y'all. But it is true. You should see him as we're watching the race. If I have a question, he's like, well, let me just check with so and so. I mean,
let me check with God.
I'm surprised. Yeah. Could you just call Jesus Christ real quick and ask him what he thought of this relegation of Peter Sagan? I'm surprised you're not texting people in the race. Like if these guys had the ability to text in the race, you'd probably be doing that, and they'd be answering you.
All I can say to that, Lance, is there are some benefits to being nice once in a while.
Wow. Wow.
All right. Next question. We've addressed this before, but it's been a couple years. Why isn't there a 3-week world tour in the U.S.?
Oh boy.
That's from Khaled A.
It's there's only one 3-week bike race. I mean, and it's been around for 100+ years, and it's hard to start something like that. You might be able to start it. In fact, I'm sure you could, but you just can't sustain it, right? We've seen it, I don't know, 20 times in the United States over the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Whether it's the Coors Classic, the Tour DuPont, the Tour of Missouri, the Tour of Utah, the Colorado Classic,
California.
Tour of California. You just in the end, it's almost like they just fizzle out.
It's a great question, and there has been chatter about it for many years. We've always heard it. It's just never gotten off the ground, unfortunately.
Here's another one. I nearly choked when I heard Lance say no one would be outside in Colorado today while I was running through sleet and freezing rain listening to the podcast. Who goes outside to train in the elements while the Panacoken are inside sipping cocoa and debating whether to hop on the Peloton? We do. Don't tell me you've left the ranks of the hard men, Lance. That's from Gilbert in Denver. They got hit too. And we got to talk about that.
Oh, it was nuts. I mean, and I put up that picture last night, and I do want to address just one thing because, I don't love the snow. Okay, everybody knows that, right? I live here, so it makes no sense, right? It snows half the year here, but it doesn't snow in September. And so I put up this photo just in sort of in jest, right? Just playing into this thing that everybody knows. And I had most of the comments were commenting or talking about, you don't understand because there's fires everywhere and we need this. Well, first of all, I do understand that, right? We have one just down valley here. Before the snow of yesterday, our air quality was about 180, 190, so it was terrible. So I'm well aware. I'm not trying to minimize fires or the risk of fires or the consequences that it has on people's lives. I'm just saying I don't like the snow. So if it's helping the fires, fuck yeah, let's do that. But it's just having a little fun. It was Ms. And I was worried, like our trees, man. It's funny, like this time of year, all the trees have leaves on them. So now the trees are just the leaves are holding up this snow. So you could drive around town right now. There's going to be trees down everywhere. You can't support the weight of the snow. I mean, it's just surreal. I don't know. And it's going to be 70 in a few days. And so. To the cocoa sipper over there that was outside in the sleet, I'll be out there again. I have an excuse. I've got a bad neck.
Keeping the theme of talking about U.S. and Colorado, here's one. Don't have their name, sorry. Question for Lance and George. Do you think there could ever be a professional gravel stage race in Colorado?
Well, that's all the rage. I'll let George rides a bunch of gravel. And in fact, you've got a gravel Grand Fondo coming up.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we're about to launch it either today or tomorrow. The gravel Grand Fondo.
Oh, that's good time. I actually did not know you were announcing that.
Yeah, we're announcing it. So thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, we're doing it in the upstate of South Carolina, just north of Greenville. It's going to be super exciting. March 6th. So mark your calendars.
Yeah, but you could definitely do a stage race. It'd be hard. I mean, gravel riding is there's no hiding and no pretending on the gravel, man. You gotta pedal all the time.
Yeah, there's no doubt that's all the rage now. There's relatively no traffic, technical riding, great scenery. It's just definitely the new fad.
I'll tell you what, this traffic thing, George. We had a friend of ours, John Ruffalo, and up in Toronto, that just got hit by a car. Very successful investor and entrepreneur, paralyzed from the waist down. So that we're just sitting there watching the race. Lionel texted us. And you're like, you get a text like that and you realize, damn, man, this interaction between bikes and cars and riders and drivers, it can be deadly. And so, but on a serious note, best wishes to John, his whole family. But folks, be careful. And that is the reason the gravel's gotten so popular. People want to get away from cars. All these fuckers driving around, on their phone or, I don't know, looking at whatever, snow or whatever. I mean, it's dangerous, so heads up, be careful.
Let's see. Georgie writes, Lance, what's the difference that your team was doing to protect him from crashes on flat stages, like what we saw in the wind? They're referencing yesterday. What were you guys doing differently than what you see today? Not
much. Just stay up front. I mean, we had Johan Johan can tell you on his show, but constantly on the radio. Move to the front. Move to the front. You'd be 20 guys back. Hey, move up. Move up. It's just it's borderline annoying.
Well, not only that, but just simply put, stay in the wind. Move up and stay in the wind. Don't get in the fray. Don't, if you saw there was the peloton was all spread out. We're either on the left side of the road or the right side of the road on our own all together in the wind. So obviously we're spending a lot more energy, but we're being safer.
All right. If you have a question or comment, leave them on our YouTube channel or Facebook. I'll skim those, or you can email them in.
We got some new swag too on the We Do store. This is a new
I like
tee.
this. I like this one. New We Do one.
And we got to do picks for tomorrow, y'all.
Ooh.
So Johan already wrote in. Johan's got Sagan.
He picks Sagan. So he thinks he's staying in the race. Does that mean I can't pick Sagan?
No, you got to pick somebody else.
Okay, then if he picks Sagan, that means he thinks that a breakaway is not going to get away and stay away, unless I guess maybe Sagan could go in the break, but Quick Step is not going to let that happen. If Peter Sagan can win, and by the way, I don't know what the personal relation. There was definitely some words exchanged between him and Wout van Aert. If Sagan can make it to the finish and win that race, according to Johan, then Wout van Aert can beat him. So I'm going to pick Wout van Aert.
All right, so I'm going to pick, based on what we saw the first week of the Tour de France in Nice, there was one rider that rode away from the whole peloton, basically, on the second category climb, and that was Alaphilippe, which we have a second category climb. At the top is, about 20K from the finish line. He can potentially attack there. If the group is together, attack there and maybe get away with somebody like Hershey, and it'll be a 2 or 3 guy sprint at the finish. So I'm going to go with Alaphilippe.
Okay. JB, why don't you pick somebody?
No, I don't think people tune in to hear who I pick.
You want to pick? You pick college. Take college.
We'll take.
College one time told me he's like, racing in Texas is a lot harder than racing the Tour. Did I ever tell you this?
No, but I could see him saying that.
He says, you have 8 guys just dragging you around. Racing in Texas, man, is every man for himself.
Oh, no.
I said, are you fucking out of your mind, college? Are you kidding me right now? Like the driveway series in Austin? You're kidding, right? You have no idea. I said, all right.
Lawson said it's one of the hardest things he's done, the driveway series.
No, stop it. Stop it. You know what? I'm going to go do something safe. I'm going to go swim. All right? All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. And just keep in mind, for those who are paying attention, you probably already know this, but the back half of this tour is going to be an ass kicker for the guys on the road, which means it's going to be good for us. It's going to be fun, and who knows what's going to happen.